Awesome. Thank you for having us. We'll get through this. John and I are very vested in the UNC Duke game as well, so we feel your pain on that. I'm Mike Harrigan. This is my colleague, John Hathorn. We are growth hackers for Shoeboxed. Shoeboxed is an expense management company. We're located in downtown Durham, and we scan receipts for small businesses for tax and audit purposes. We have mobile apps where you can take pictures of receipts, and we'll digitize everything. You can actually mail us your receipts, and we'll scan them, OCR them, and extract the data. And this evening, John and I will be talking to you all about growth hacking. So we'll start off with a brief history of growth hacking, move into pirate metrics and visualizing your company in a funnel, visualizing the bottlenecks, and then we'll move into some specific examples of how growth hacking has worked for Shoeboxed, and then we'll end talking about the tools we use to growth hack and open it up for questions.
So let's go ahead and actually just jump right into it. So what is growth hacking? The term was actually first used by this guy, Sean Ellis, who's the CEO and founder of Qualaroo. And there's really three core focuses. First of which is scalability. Growth hacking is a process, so it's important to note that as you grow your company, whether that be revenue-based or user-based, that these processes and these tips that we're going to give you tonight really apply to any stage of your product or your company's life cycle. Second core facet is actually innovation. Be really creative. Do not shy away from anything. Do drastic tests and constantly iterate on those tests. Last and certainly not least, and I want to really emphasize this, is user connectivity. Know who you're marketing to, know the voice they use, really know how to target them, and not only will that help you with growth hacking, but it will make you a more efficient marketer as well. So a lot of marketers will also give you ideas that say, you know, putting in this time is going to give you a 10 to 20x return on investment. While that may be very well true, and we've seen tests that have actually succeeded that or surpassed that, on average, the tests we're running at Shoeboxed succeed with a 2 to 3x return on investment. And that could be, you know, getting people through a funnel or getting people on a subscription or simply getting people's email addresses.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the concept and model of pirate metrics, which is something that Dave McClure of 500 Startups actually came up with. And the acronym that is in the bubble right there actually stands for this. It stands for a macro level funnel, which is a way of looking at your business. This is very applicable for SaaS companies, but it also really fits in with pretty much any type of business model. And basically, so the numbers are cut off. Those are percentages, so that's actually 100%, 90%, 80, 70, 60 for the sake of this example. But you look at your customers in terms of the funnel, and you want to push your customers from the first step all the way through to the final step. And so just to give you all some examples of these steps, let's see. We'll start with acquisition. So this is the top of your funnel. So for different purposes, this could be someone visiting your website. It could be a lead, so someone gives you their email address. If you own a brick and mortar store, it could simply be someone walking into your store. So that's acquisition. You want to push people from being acquired into activation. So that could be turning that lead, that person that gave you their email address, into a user. For sale by owner site, so think eBay. Activation for eBay is someone actually listing their first item for sale on eBay. Social media activation would probably be considered creating a profile on that site. After activation, so for Shoeboxed, we scan receipts, and that is what we want people to do. So on the left, you'll see an example of our welcome email once someone signs up for our service, and we say our number one tip for getting started is to submit a receipt. On the right is actually the first screen you see if you download our mobile app, and it says, welcome to Shoeboxed, start by taking a picture of a receipt. So these are things we do to activate our users. After activation, you want them to come back and continue doing that thing on your site. So that could be visiting your site 3 times. It could be listing a second item. If you're a mobile app, it could be someone opening the app after a certain period of time. For Shoeboxed, if someone submits a receipt 2 weeks after creating an account, we consider them retained. So moving from retention into revenue, very self-explanatory. You have a customer that pays you for the first time. And the final step of Dave McClure's Pirate Metrics is referral. And referrals can come at any point in this funnel, but for the purpose of example, we'll present it last. And John and I for Shoeboxed think of referrals in terms of three things. First being word of mouth. That makes sense. That's a key driver to company growth. It's fantastic. It's very difficult to measure. So from a marketer standpoint like ourselves, it's difficult, but it's great. The second being incentivized referrals. This is what we do at Shoebox. We actually offer our customers a 10% discount for referring a colleague or someone else to our service. So that is actually our referral widget, which customers can see when they log into either the mobile app or the web app portion of our service. And finally, reviews. Reviews are a source of referrals, so we take a lot of time in asking customers to review us, whether it be our iOS app or Android app, on Google, anything like that. So now that I've gone through this macro level funnel, here's kind of where we start getting into the growth hacking side of things. So we have this big funnel. Each step is actually comprised of micro level funnels. So the first one, step one, that's acquisition. I know it's cut off, but a test you would do to impact acquisition could be homepage testing. It could be call to action testing on your homepage, messaging, any sort of that. Activation next, a welcome experience. Split testing your activation emails. So someone signs up, split testing that subject line, the copy in those emails. Retention really falls, especially for SaaS companies, on the product team. If people like your service, they're likely to come back. So there we have UX, UI optimization can impact retention. If revenue is something you need to focus on, that is something you could test alternative trials. If you offer a 30-day free trial, you could try a 14-day free trial. You could try different pricing tiers for that. And last but not least, referrals, which is what Shoebox tried, offering our users coupons to refer others, and it did work. So right before John actually gets into the meat of growth hacking, here's a last point I want to make. So when you look at your business as a funnel and you put numbers behind each one of these, it's going to become apparent where the bottleneck is. Where are people that are starting here, where are they dropping off? For John and myself at Shoeboxed, our rule of thumb is if the number is less than 50% of people are getting from one step to the next, that's where we want to focus our efforts. That's where we want to growth hack.
So where do we start? Well, before I really get into it, I just want to kind of highlight split testing. I know most people in this room are very familiar with the idea behind split testing, but in case you aren't, just the easiest example to understand is, let's say visitors go to your homepage. What you would do is you'd think of a change you want to test, and you would send a certain allocation or percentage of traffic to that page. For the sake of making it easy, let's say you're doing a 50-50 test, which a lot of times is what we'll do. It's really important to test absolutely everything. Don't let your gut instinct influence a change on your website. It's tax season for us. Tax season's a big time of year. We want to maximize small business deductions. Let's throw a headline on our homepage that focuses on tax deductions, etc. We just don't do that. You'd actually be surprised. Sometimes conversion can really be hurt. And so a lot of people we actually talk to, they say, oh, I had a brilliant idea and I threw it up there and I saw my conversion rate tank. Well, test it. So in this case, statistics are your friend. At Shoebox, we use a 95% statistical confidence interval for most tests. So every 100 passing test in favor of variation, maybe 5 of those will fail. A lot of people we talk to who have the benefit of a lot of traffic will actually go up to 99%. But the key takeaway from the statistical significance is think of something reasonable. You really need a lot of traffic to get to 95 or 99% in a quick amount of time. Another really important aspect of growth hacking I want to take a few minutes and talk about is one-step versus multi-step optimization. And really the idea behind this is compounding your gains and iterating, never stop optimizing. So for the sake of example, we're going to go after this 45% of people, 65% are dropping off from step 1 to step 2. Let's optimize that theoretically. Well, we get that number up to 55% now. Trickle-down effect, we just saw a 22% relative increase throughout the end of the funnel. which is sweet, right? It's 20% increase. What happens when we attack multiple steps within this funnel, though? So now we get this step 2 to step 3 up to 80%, and we've actually increased step 4 to step 5 up to 50%. And this is where the money is made. This is where the meat of growth hacking comes in. We've attacked multiple steps within this funnel. We compounded those gains. We're now seeing a 279 relative increase through people or from people through this funnel. So let's say this is a funnel affecting revenue. Yeah, I mean, you just hit revenue 279%. So it's really important to understand compounding gains, multi-step optimization, and never stopping. Also importantly is the size of the funnel. A lot of you have probably noticed that we had 5-step funnels, and that's just because it's easy, it makes sense, it kind of takes up space on the slides. So really, the best way to highlight this is our registration path, which we're actually going to give a real example of how we optimize a little bit later on. We ask for a credit card number for the start subscription trial, and we do give you 30 days, no money, it's guaranteed. Try taking that credit card step out. Or we ask for people's address and home phone number, and that's because we send them magic envelopes. It's a big part of our product offering. Our customers love it. If you don't have an address, maybe you put that in. Maybe your sales guys could really use that information. But the key takeaway I want from this slide is really don't think of it in only 5 steps. You can make it a 1-step, 2-step, 15-step funnel.
So we've thrown a lot of numbers at you all. There's been a lot of funnels up on the board. So now we're going to show you all 2 specific examples of ways we've growth hacked Shoeboxed. So the first example is going to be our mobile app. This is actually our largest lead generation tool for Shoeboxed. We have a great mobile app, and over 60% of the leads we get actually come in from people downloading this app. So here's our mobile app funnel. The top of the funnel is people making it to our App Store listing. So if you search on the App Store for receipts, we're one of the top apps that pops up. We also run paid advertising. We use the platform iAd, which is Apple's paid advertising platform. So if you've ever seen those banners and other apps trying to get you to download other apps, we're there. So that's the top of our funnel, is people making it to our App Store listing. Of that, 80% of people end up downloading the app. Of that, 80% of people create an account, create a Shoeboxed account after downloading it. And here's where we get into the bottleneck. So when they're in the app, we want people to upgrade and try a 30-day free trial of our premium service. Only 40% of people that end up creating an account ever click on one of those upgrade banners. And of that 40% that click them, only 25% end up upgrading. So that's our bottleneck. So this is what John and I attacked. And here's what we did. So if you look on the left, this is the people clicking the upgrade banner. This is inside of our app. These are 2 different dashboards we have. And if you see right here, these are our actual upgrade banners. So John and I probably made 200 different upgrade banners to test. So we tried different colors, we tried different copy, we tried different icons. And in doing that and split testing, we were able to see a total increase of 25% more clicks on those ads, which is fantastic. So that went from 40% to 50%. Now, once you click these upgrade banners, you used to be taken into a mobile optimized registration path that was our web path, and it looked like a web page that was on your mobile device. It was functional, but it didn't look great, and so we figured that was probably the reason why a lot of people were dropping out, because who wants to enter their credit card information into a page that really looks a little sketchy, if I may say so myself. So what we did is we took the time and completely overhauled that upgrade path. We made it specifically mobile responsive. It looked a heck of a lot better. And in doing that, we were actually able to increase the amount of people getting through that upgrade path by 40%. So what does this do to our funnel? We saw a 75% increase in people getting through the entire funnel, which is fantastic because obviously that's more revenue for us. It's great. But here's where growth hacking comes in. So 75% more people are making it through the funnel. We're going to reinvest that. So like I said earlier, we run paid advertisements on iAd. With our old conversion rate, we did the calculations, we knew what PPC we could afford on that network. Well, now that we're making 75% more revenue from it, we can reinvest that and have a higher PPC and therefore run more ads and feed the top of this funnel a heck of a lot more. And now that we know that it's optimized further down the line, it's a much smoother cycle. We're getting more people into it and we're getting more people out and generating revenue for us.
So with the second example, I promised a little bit earlier we'd be talking about our web registration path. So that's exactly what I'm about to jump into. Everyone's familiar with your average web sign up, just to quickly go through it. The input is a user visiting our homepage. Hopefully we'll get their email. In this case, 60% of people do. Then their name and address, again, it's important for our magic envelopes. Then they get to a select plan page, and we hope at that point they'll go on a trial for one of our paid subscriptions. Hopefully give us their credit card information. You can see that's the drop off, and start a subscription would be the ultimate goal. So what we actually noticed looking through historical numbers is that this 20% highlighted in red used to be 40%. So immediate red flag. You build a graph like this, it's going to stand out as a bottleneck. So for the sake of example, let's throw some figurative numbers behind this and say 1,000 people are entering the website. With the model as it stands, we're going to get 23 subscriptions in this given time frame out of it. So what we're going to do is look at the actual step, which is this plans page. This is the unoptimized plan page. It is ugly. This is not up to modern standards. There's a lot going on. It's information overload. The color scheme's not warming. It's not welcoming. So our users were panicking at this stage, and they were actually dropping out of the funnel. Well, how the heck can we fix that? Let's redesign this page. So here's our redesigned page. It highlights our most popular plan right up top. Color scheme looks good. The imagery is sexy. CTAs are a different color. And it's really, really hard to see. But each one of these plans right here is actually tailored copy-wise to who's using that product. And we actually had an opportunity to talk to customers, and we'll go into that a little bit more in detail in a few minutes. But we noticed with lights, a lot of freelancers were actually using that subscription plan, and business up to executive even, that's your small business owner that we're targeting. And we maximize revenue from these three plans. So we actually hide the executive and DIY, because you'll find it if you really need that product offering. So what we saw is an 88% increase in the amount of people getting from that plan step to the secure page, which is what we call in-house, where we get your credit card information. And it is indeed secure, in case you're wondering. So that didn't quite get us to our historical number of 40%, but it got us really close. So again, let's look at that in numbers. And what that's actually doing is giving us 67 more people in this time frame hitting that secure page. And then inherently, we're getting 20 more subscriptions out of that one test. So again, growth hacking is iterative. Do not stop. It is a process. It is a system. Establish that process. So what do we do next? Well, Mike and I noticed a lot of our customers are putting this, as I actually said before we tested this ugly button on the page. Competitors, excuse me. Put this ugly Google single sign-on button, or Google SSO. And I didn't have faith in this test, I'm going to be honest. So we said, what the heck? Let's throw it up there. We used to have just this email box, but we said, we'll test it. Let's see what happens. Well, now, instead of 60% of people giving us their email, there's a lot of brand equity with Google. There's a lot of faith in the single sign-on. We now have 80% of people visiting the homepage giving us their email. So again, let's look at that from a number standpoint. And right off the bat, we're adding 200 people to the top of the funnel, which with our optimized plans to secure step at 37.6, we're now seeing 35 more subscriptions in a given time frame than when we were unoptimized. That's a 250% return just through that one funnel. There's your 2.5x. Those are two very easy tests, design-based. A lot of us are probably capable of doing that, and that's growth hacking action.
So we've been through some examples, and we've been through the macro and micro level funnels. So let's say you get back, you put your business into a funnel, you run the numbers, you find where your bottlenecks are, you find which step it's affecting. where do you get ideas of actual stuff to test? And this is something John and I struggle with from time to time. So some great resources for finding things to test on your website and also with your business. There's a lot of great case studies online. One of the best sites is actually Smashing Magazine. It's like a design-based site, but they do have a lot of great case studies. Like John said, with our Google SSO test, look at competitors. If you want to see if your competitors are split testing their site, go to their site and use developer tools and just view the page source, and you can see if they have Visual Website Optimizer or Optimizely installed on their site. And if they are, you know they're testing something, and if you want to grab something and test it on your site, it's probably a pretty good idea. Whether or not you have an in-house UI, UX designer or a freelancer, a lot of these guys are terrific at what they do, and they've done it for a lot of different clients. So take their advice to heart and really consider the ideas they come up with. We use VWO as our actual split testing tool for our website. Optimizely is the competitor to VWO, a little bit more expensive, but their blogs are fantastic with ideas of things to test on your site. And last but not least, look to your customers for insight. John and I were fortunate enough, we took about a month and talked to a few hundred Shoeboxed customers, and there were two real big takeaways from that. The first being, if you listen to your customers and you understand the voice that they use to describe your service, that's an invaluable tool for a marketer to market to other customers. If you can market to people using the voice that they use to describe your product, it's fantastic. And the second thing, it really helps with the product team. So if you really want to work on the retention step of your funnel, build a better product, and the only way to do that is iterative, constant feedback with your customers. And just some other tests we run. I'm really not going to dive too deep into these, but these are other tests we've run for Shoeboxed. Always test upgrade banners, anything along those lines. Calls to action, both within the web app as well as on your marketing pages. Different business models. Like I said, John and I are actually testing a lower pricing tier for our mobile app right now. We also do incentives and coupons for our referrals, which has worked out for us as well, and push notifications in your mobile app and any sort of app store optimization. So the second to last slide is the tools we use to growth hack. Segment.io is a data API. This allows us to point events for each of our users and basically attach that to the user, which we then feed into Mixpanel, which is our marketing portal, so we can see exactly what any user does on the site. Segment also points into Customer.io, which is our email marketing tool. Referral Sasquatch is that widget I showed you all where we offer 10% to our users to refer other people. They're a great company. AdZerk is actually a local company in Durham. We use them to serve all of our mobile and web upgrade banners. And VWO, like I said earlier, is the split testing tool we use. It can get a little pricey, and if you're bootstrapped, a great alternative to VWO is actually Google Analytics has something called Experiments, which is free with Google Analytics, and it's WYSIWYG. It's what you see is what you get editing on your site, and you're allowed to test it, and it helps you determine statistical significance with those tests and everything. So great tools. Happy to share the deck with anyone after this.
So before we let everyone go, and unfortunately there's not a NC State game tonight, go Wolfpack. I saw you cheering earlier. Some key takeaways. Use pirate metrics, especially for people in management or a little bit higher up. Think of your business, again, in terms of funnels and multi-step systems. In combination with those pirate metrics, data visualization, it'll help you notice bottlenecks. It'll help you optimize any step within the funnel, whether it be a macro or micro problem. Optimize absolutely everything, starting with those bottlenecks, but don't stop there. Keep optimizing. You'll be amazed that every bottleneck you actually close, a new one's going to pop up. It's just kind of the nature of the business, but that's awesome because you're optimizing constantly. Split test everything. Statistics scare a lot of people. This is not meant to be scary. If you are not a mathematician or you shy away from statistics, Typically, Google a A/B test calculator. I mean, it will take you 30 seconds to input your numbers, and it'll give you your confidence interval, your conversion rates, etc. And then rinse and repeat. This is an iterative process, like I just said. Every bottleneck you close, the new one's going to pop up. But again, have faith. It's going to make you a more efficient marketer. It's going to help you achieve growth. And that's pretty much the meat of growth hacking.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Want more secrets from inside the minds of entrepreneurs and innovators around the world? Subscribe to our YouTube channel here and click the link below. We'll send you our best interviews and strategies for growing your business.